Hello and welcome again to TelecomTV. We're here in San Jose in California at ETSI NFV number 11. It's getting up there, soon be a dozen. And I'm talking with Michael Brenner, who is the SVP Product Strategy at ClearPath Networks. Michael, good to see you again.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. I was talking to a couple of your colleagues earlier on today and yesterday about virtual CPE and the importance of it, the size of the market and so on, and the challenges that come along with that. As you're in charge of product strategy, how do you get around those challenges? How do you address them?
The challenges are many, and they come fast and furious at us.
Yeah.
At a small company, we pay attention to all of them, and we develop a lot of strategy based on new use cases that come as fast as they come to us. One of the common denominators of those are use cases where we want to differentiate ourselves from what competitors can offer. In particular, we are talking about a relatively new market for CSP, which is a small medium business market, where so far traditionally there was a difficulty to penetrate with large virtual appliances. So we have focused on this market and trying to understand what we could offer in that market to penetrate. And that is cost mainly. How much features you can pack for a very low cost. And that is what we are specializing ourselves. That's where our strategy mainly is focused. How cheap we can provide good value for the money of the small, medium businesses.
Thank you. We'll come back to that in a second. I'd just like to stay with virtual CPE as we're talking about it now for the next question, which is, I understand completely, of course, that it's a very important market segment and the rest of it, but it must be the case, given that CPE customer premises equipment has got there must always, despite virtualization, there must be always something left at the customer's premises.
The less, the better.
Agreed.
Yes, there's always something left there. There must be a small piece of hardware where a Linux environment will run and where we can push our virtualized containers that are no different in that case from the ones that we run in the cloud. So the same software we can push either on the premise or in some container in the cloud.
And you also mentioned, which I found interesting, is the fact that in the past CSPs have not ignored the small, medium-sized business market, but they've not been deeply involved in it. Is it the fact that NFV is in the ascendancy that allows them to do this, or is it because they feel they must do it because their traditional hunting ground is just about played out?
NFV is a game changer in many ways. So one way it is a game changer is service agility. Right? That allows them to actually make money while not spending a lot of money on operational expenses. That's one way. The other way is the fact that they are now in a position with some offers like ours, where they can take the same kind of software and run it anywhere, whether it is on the premises, where it's in their cloud, or is on the enterprise cloud. It doesn't matter. That's what we offer. We offer an abstraction layer where you just pass where you want to run it, and that's where we put it. Okay,
now back to what we were talking about before, cost and so on. Now, when we were off camera, you were saying that ClearPath has some up-and-coming disruptive technologies and based around the notion of containerisation of NFV. Is this what you're talking about, where the cost paradigm comes into it?
Absolutely. So we see there the paradigm going to the direction of both cheaper software and better utilization of the hardware. So we are looking to utilize as much as possible high density and large scale out. So the money is going to be made in volumes rather than on the cost per performer, per VNF per subscriber. The other thing that we see there is that with our small containers, we have reduced basically the operating system component size of that by practically 2 orders of magnitude almost. So we are talking about a container that has just enough operating system on the size of about 10 megabytes, when the traditional virtualized appliance have hundreds of megabytes, just the OS. We do the same thing with VNFs. We use a lot of VNFs that are either open source or commercial, but they are optimized as far as footprint And scale, we are not targeting enterprises with hundreds of customers, but rather with tens of customers, so we can reduce both the CPU needs and the memory needs to run such a VNF. The other thing that we do in that smart container is that we pack in it an agent, which is going to be open source, so a third-party vendor can join this bandwagon of being able to deploy, at large scale to so many SMBs. What we do with this software agent is it allows us dynamically to insert any kind of VNF that was onboarded inside the container on the fly and service chain it together with other containers that are already in that virtual machine.
Interesting. Do you have any idea? You must have some idea of the size of the potential market for this, given the number of SMEs in the world.
It's tens of billions, right? And it keeps growing, every day. If we get a fraction of that,
you'll be happy.
Yes.
So, Michael, we're here at the ETSI NFV event number 11. ETSI has been the honest broker in the development of NFV standards from the very outset. There are lots of other standards organisations out there. How do you see things progressing? What's it like within ETSI now? Do you see the job on the horizon coming to an end, as it were, and the period of intense emphasis on standardisation and the development of everything else that goes along with it ending, and ETSI transmogrifying into something else?
I'm extremely proud of what ETSI NFV has achieved, and I think we'll be as proud at the end of the phase 2. Things have changed, of course. We are doing now, while before we were trying to sort of get on the same page and understanding this paradigm and trying to help the industry deal with it, now in a phase where we're trying to tighten requirements so that we focus more on interoperability, how we can help interoperable implementations and so on. I think what's going to happen over the next year plus, or maybe the continuation after phase 2, is that we are going to start transforming ourselves more into a group that guides the industry rather than focusing solely or really deeply into producing more standards, because there's enough standards bodies to go around. We don't want to compete with them. We really want to collaborate with them. But we see that we have collected here a lot of know-how, knowledge about NFV, shared knowledge between many of the participants, and it would be a pity for that to get lost by dissolving the group. I think the changes is going to be, though, in the sense that we'll start focusing a little bit more on use cases, supporting the business, the industry, look more into what actually is still a problem in the industry, and less probably on specific parameters on interface and so on, which are the purview of other standards bodies.
Interesting. Nothing stands still.
Nothing will, no.
No, it won't. I'm sure you're absolutely right. Michael Brenner, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you for having me again. It was a pleasure.